بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Your Excellency Dr. Muhammad Sulaiman Al-Jasir, ISDB President, Your Excellency Dr. Ibrahim Abdul Rahman, Minister of Innovative Development of Republic of Uzbekistan, Professor Muhammad Hassan, President of the World Academy of Science, Ms. Sandra, Chief Executive Officer of Global Blockchain Business Council, ISDB Transformers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is a great pleasure for me to be here today among such distinguished and eminent individuals to present to you with innovation of tomorrow, powered by the Islamic Development Bank's 500 Transform Fund. The benefit of scientific advancements and their application are uneven across the least developing countries. We have 57 member countries, 21 of them least developed countries. The ISDB made a great progress in promoting and utilizing science, technology, and innovation to support our member countries to build a stronger science, technology, innovation ecosystem that facilitate innovation, support entrepreneurs, and transfer of technology through ISDB Science, Technology, Innovation Department. Managed under the ISDB Science Technology Department, engaged Digital Platform and Transform Fund, dedicated the most recent two calls for innovation, 2020 and 2021, to support innovation that can help tackle the pandemic. In support of SDG number 3, good health and well-being. The two calls had a particular focus on emergency preparedness to curb pandemic spread, minimizing socio-economic impact of the pandemic, especially in the poor countries, and building member countries' resilience. It is important to acknowledge that translating scientific knowledge in the least developing countries differs in fundamental ways from other countries due to institutional differences. Despite the extreme vulnerability of the least developing countries, they enjoy opportunity to leapfrog development through collaboration, openness, and innovation. In this context of COVID-19 response, it is increasingly more relevant for the least developing countries to pay attention to open science and open innovation policy measures, including adequate data governance methods, sustainable data sharing agreements involving public sector, private sector, and civil society, as well as open and sustainable research infrastructure institutions. Today, we focus on the showcase of some innovations of tomorrow. Supported by the Transform Fund, these projects are examples that can create an enabling environment to nurture ideas, serve the need of the future challenges, and support entrepreneurs across the world in scaling up their innovations through Transform Fund support. With these remarks, please allow me to let you know about who we have today. We are so lucky to have an amazing, distinguished speakers. For the first session, I would like to ask Dr. Muhammad Hassan. But before I ask Dr. Muhammad Hassan to take the floor, I want to say a few words about Dr. Hassan. Professor Hassan is a great mentor personally to me. He's the president of the World Academy of Science twice in Italy. He's the president of the Sudanese National Academy of Science, chairman of the Governance Council of the United Nations Technology Bank in Turkey, and the chairman of the International Advisory Board of the Center for International Development in Germany. He is a recipient of many merits, the G77 Leader Award and the Abdul Medal for Science and Technology. He is a member of several merit-based academies of science, but also he is serving as a member of the Scientific Advisory Board of the Islamic Development Bank. Professor Hassan, please take pleasure to have your remarks.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Hayat, for these very kind words. I was told to give an opening talk just about 10 minutes ago, so I don't have anything prepared, but I will just say a few words about my feeling and my impression having served on the board of the ISDB in the area of science, technology, and innovation. My views and my experience and how I look at all that. So there are certain important features that I think we should be aware of concerning this ISDB Transform Fund. First of all, the fund supports cutting-edge technologies and innovations that assist member countries to solve specific problems related to the SDGs. And we are going to see a number of these examples later on. Our innovators today are going to describe some of those innovations that really relate to issues like digitization, artificial intelligence. So they will give us what they have found and what they have applied in various fields. The second is that the support is provided to innovations or innovators worldwide. So this is not really restricted to a certain region or a certain list of countries. Any innovator from around the world can actually compete for that. And one advantage that this approach has is that it is wide open to a wide range of diaspora scientists and technologies we have around the world. And that's why, among all the applications that we receive, there is a very good number of applications coming from eminent diaspora scientists. Many of them, of course, have their origin in the Islamic Development Bank countries. The initiative itself, maybe I can say, attracts too many innovators. There's a huge number of innovators who apply every year. And if you look at the data for the last 3 years, we have a figure of 15,000 applications, 15,000 applications. And they come, as I said, from all over the world. I think the data says they come from 180 countries. So the demand is huge, and this is something that we never noticed, that if you launch a program like this, you get such huge demand. Unfortunately, the success rate is extremely, extremely small. I would say maybe about 0.6% of those apply get the reward. And this is really a small percentage, even smaller than those who apply for Nobel Prizes. So this shows that we have a large number of excellent innovations that we never managed to support, simply because we don't have the funds to do that. And I think it is important to look at those at the borderline to see how good they are and whether we can help them in other ways to get support from other sources. So the program as such, I think, being very popular, and at the same time not being very generous, is an issue that we have to address in our meetings at the board. One additional feature that we have in this program is that it is one of the most interesting instruments for developing partnership, not only South-South but North-South partnership. This is very, very important because if we do have excellent innovators in the United States, and you will have some examples later on, who somehow reach out to their colleagues in member countries of the Islamic Development Bank and develop a joint project, innovative project, and succeed in solving a particular problem. That in itself, I think, is a marvelous concept. At the same time, I am absolutely sure that there are some innovations that our innovators have found that can actually be beneficial to solving problems even in the advanced countries. And these are the sort of examples that we are now trying to examine. This is what we call to us, the World Academy of Sciences, reverse innovation. We always think of innovation coming from the north to the south. But I have a strong feeling that this program might actually allow for a reverse type of innovation because of this feature of north-south cooperation and so on and so forth. So with this, I don't know whether I have a few more minutes, but I can stop here. Maybe I can do other things later. If I have a few minutes, I can talk about something else, but maybe I should. Yeah. I sit here.
Thank you, Professor Hassan, and we'll have a minute of some questions for you. First, before we have our discussion, I would like to ask Sandra Rowe to deliver her remarks, but I would like to say a few words about Sandra. Currently, Sandra serves the CEO of the Global Blockchain Business Council, GBBC, a Swiss-based nonprofit consisting of over 270 institutional members and 130 ambassadors across 76 disciplines across the world. Sandra, as well as an angel investor in emerging technologies and co-founder of several startups, nonprofits, and key blockchain industry networks. Sandra is a prominent for human-centric tech, which is my favorite. She left a career in investment banking and currency market to focus on emerging technologies for sustainability. She is an early investor and an advocate of crypto and digital assets. Sandra, please take the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the President and ministers who have attended and supported as the host country, Uzbekistan. This is my first time in Uzbekistan, and I will have to say, I've already extended my trip several days because I love it already so much. And I see opportunity here. I also want to thank Dr. Hayat Sindhi, President of Islamic Development Bank, and all the entire team for the support I've personally received, and I know many of you received to get here. It is not easy convening this group of people together, especially in the middle of what we are all collectively going through, and we've all suffered in different ways. However, my message is one of a singular purpose and hope, is that we take what has been bad and we create good and opportunity out of the things that we have seen broken from the pandemic. We have seen many, many things broken. And I have sat, not on a plane like I usually do, but in New York City for the last 18 months. And I have watched many things that are wrong with different systems or different ways that we do things. However, not just blockchain technology, but technology in general can be used to solve and remove some of these frictions. And I'm just going to highlight a few things because I am a former banker and I do like numbers. And I want to highlight some of the statistics that I'm seeing today. So in the first half of 2021, there are estimates of roughly $100 billion having been invested in fintech, just fintech. All of last year, by the way, 2020, was $121 billion. So already in the first half, we are going to surpass, most likely, what happened last year in terms of investment. That's just fintech. Now, enlarge that to all of technology investment. We are seeing one clear trend in a very uncertain world. We are going digitization in pretty much every category in every industry. And those who embrace digitization in the right way will prevail in actually coming out stronger and better for its people and for its society. And what do I mean by the right way? I mean by thinking about how we are solving problems for the real world and not just tech for tech's sake. I hate to say it, but this is very common in the US, but there are a lot of technologists, they love playing around with tech and they love innovating, and I think that's wonderful. But oftentimes it doesn't really have a purpose. What problem are you solving? Who are you actually helping in society? And what part of humanity are you actually aiding? And to me, these are critical questions that should come first before the technology. And once you've figured out what problems you need to solve, and we're going to hear about many great companies today who will be talking about their solutions, we will be hearing how it's going to impact society positively. And I firmly believe that. So when I think about blockchain technology, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more as the days go on, but the collaborative nature of blockchain is one of the things that I fundamentally love about this technology. We have to work together. You can try to do it on your own, but good luck, because blockchain actually requires that you collaborate. And if we think of ourselves more as a global village, together, collectively, trying to solve problems, as opposed to each individually trying to do our own thing and hoping it fits with everybody else's plan, I think we'll end up in a better place. And so with that, I say to you, I stand here alone, but behind me are tens of thousands of young people, older people, people of all walks of life, who are working in the space where they're solving for real world problems and they care about society. And we need to nurture that through education, through investments, and through making sure that we actually help each other. And I don't think we can underscore that enough. We need a kinder world, and we need a world that cares about each other. And so there is a role for technology to do that. As much as it's about math and numbers, I think we need to marry the two concepts, the culture, the humanity, with the numbers and the science. So with that, I look forward to the discussion, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.
I'm just going to have a little bit of dialogue, and maybe also we can open the floor for discussion. But Sandra, just to start with you, because you just mentioned something really important to me, which is I'm a big fan of human-centric approach. And of course, collaboration is a key thing for any technology. Just like you cannot do that solo. And also we have here a full of amazing, young, future promising type of ideas, and they are all around technology as well. Technology is a part of it. So what is your advice in terms of that approach? Because that's a critical. I remember also where I was an advisor with the Prime Minister of Malaysia and also with Professor Hassan, and that's one of the key things. People were so scared to go fully digitized and artificial intelligence, blockchain. And of course, there's always will be room for creativity, humanity. So what is your advice, please?
My advice for all the bright minds, this is the time to be bold. I know it's scary to go approach things and take risks, but we are at a pivotal time in history for paradigm shifts. And we are seeing that across so many different sectors. I hope we talk a lot about healthcare, because obviously our major thematic here is around a post-COVID world, but I don't think there's enough innovating happening in healthcare. I hope there are going to be a lot of healthcare entrepreneurs that come out of this situation, and we can find ways to solve for the myriad of healthcare problems that are out there. But for the young entrepreneurs, I would say be bold, collaborate, and also find mentors who will help you learn and actually grow as you are building your company.
Thank you, Sandra. I just want to come back here, Professor Hassan. You are the president of the World Academy of Science, and you've been serving and being in touch with how you connect innovation with the economic empowerment. So, and now we being with the academic, we focus in health and what is even related to health. But what should be focused for the future in terms of innovation? What SDG do we need to focus, of course, among health and among education, for advice for any young entrepreneur who want to help with their own country, the infrastructure, what we should look for type of ideas for the future, please?
Thank you very much. First of all, the World Academy of Sciences is not an academy for natural sciences alone. It is an academy for natural and social sciences and economics. So it is true that the group of members in the social sciences and economic sciences is not a large group, but there is a window there that we can utilize when we come to do innovation for solving problems. And here, I think I have in front of me the managing director of the Technology Bank, and this is a way that the Technology Bank would really like to operate, to look at innovations in the area of science and technology, but these innovations need scaling up. And in order to scale them up, you have to look for innovation in the social sciences and innovation in business. So without having these three innovations put together at the same time, you will never be able to scale up any S&T innovation. So we really would like to look at the whole thing as an integrated innovation effort to solve problems. And I think many of the innovators that the Islamic Development Bank has been supporting really deal with not just S&T innovations, but they deal with business innovation, they deal with social innovations. And the successful ones are the ones that manage to integrate this and scale up their innovation. So that is, I think, an answer to that question. And the second is about the priorities. If I have just a few minutes, because I was very impressed by the speech the president of Uzbekistan mentioned today. I was listening to it in Arabic, but I got the impression, and Dr. Hayat confirmed that to me, that he mentioned the importance of innovation in science and technology.
He mentioned the fund, Science Technology
He mentioned the fund also. Maybe the translation of the fund in Arabic was not so obvious, so I didn't catch that. But what is really important is he mentioned specifically the need for innovation in agriculture. And this is really important, especially this year. Many of you might know that the United Nations Secretary General is convening for the first time, a summit on food systems. So on the 23rd of September, a large group of heads of state will gather in New York, and they will address the food systems and how these food systems can be transformed. Because there is now a wide recognition among the policymakers worldwide that food systems are so important and critical to fulfilling all the SDGs, not just the SDG 1, 2, and 3 for poverty and hunger, but for all the other SDGs. The connection between food systems and issues like climate or like biodiversity, it's really amazing. 30% of the greenhouse gases are emitted by agricultural practices. And 70% of the loss in biodiversity is caused by agriculture and practices, farming and so on. So the links are really very important for innovation to be addressed. So I'm saying all that because if you ask my views about what should the fund do in the future, I think it's very important for the fund to establish a transformation fund for innovation in food systems innovation. And that, I think, will attract a lot of interest, especially that in our member countries, the countries gathering here, food security and food nutrition is a very serious problem. And without achieving those, I think it will be very difficult to address all the other issues. So this is a proposal I would like to make. I never discussed it with you before, Dr. Hayat, but I think it is something that we have to bear in mind in the future.
Thank you, Professor Hassan. We do at Transform Fund, we sponsor 6 SDGs, one of them food security, but I guess what you refer to, that we want to have a special call only for, and that's exactly important because we found that through the pandemic, 2 SDG been affected the most, agriculture, okay, besides health and education. Thank you, Professor Hassan. I just want to come back to your first point, Professor Hassan. You mentioned about integration and investment. A lot of people are scared to risk investment, which is the key for innovation. How would you urge decision makers or institution or private sector to have that type of investment? Because without have risk in investment, we cannot progress. Otherwise, we always go for something comfortable, something we know is winning. And if it's winning, what do I need to invest more? So we need to, how we go into, what type of policy do we need? Because you are sitting as an Academy of Science president, really to encourage private sector to invest more and take risk investments.
This is really a very important issue, Dr. Hayat. The Food System Summit is going to address this very critical question about financing food systems research and science. Because at the moment, the percentage of what most of the countries, especially our countries here, the percentage that they spend on food system science and food system research is probably the least among all other countries. It's a very, very small percentage. And a strong recommendation has been made by the scientific group that has been established by the Secretary General of the UN to address the issue of linking food systems to science, how science and innovation can help to transform food systems. One very strong recommendation that they have made is that 1%, at least 1% of the SDG related to agriculture should really be spent on research and development. Another important issue that is also going to be recommended by the scientific group to the Food System Summit on the 23rd of September is how to set up a science policy platform, a science policy interface. And we have in mind, for example, like IPCC for the climate change, where science, the best scientists in the world in the climate science, and the decision makers get together and they talk about the issues, and jointly they issue statements about what the scientists should do and what the decision makers should do. A platform like that, I think, is going to be important for us to do for food systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hassan. These remarks, and we have the pleasure here to have His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Suleiman Al-Jassid, the President of Islamic Development Bank, and also we have the pleasure to have His Excellency Dr. Abdul Rahman, the Minister of Innovative Development of Republic of Uzbekistan. I would ask kindly His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Al-Jassid to take the floor and deliver his speech. Please, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Dr. Hayat. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wabihi nasta'in. Your Excellency, Professor Ibrahim Abdul, Minister of Innovation, Development of the Republic of Uzbekistan. Professor Muhammad Hassan, President of the World Academy of Sciences and member of the IDB Scientific Advisory Board. Ms. Sandra Rowe, Chief Executive Officer of the Global Blockchain Business Council. Distinguished guests, Transform Fund winners, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am pleased to join you today to showcase tomorrow's innovation through the STI Transform Funds initiative in the Republic of Uzbekistan, a significant milestone in our partnership. Founded in 2018, the Transform Fund is aligned with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. It focuses on accelerating progress towards achieving greater food security, healthier lives, inclusive and equitable education, sustainable management of water and sanitation, access to affordable and clean energy, and sustainable industrialization across the developing world. At the IDB, we believe everyone has the right to live in dignity and prosperity, and that nurturing economic growth is the best route out of poverty. We believe that science, technology, and innovation can provide solutions to these challenges. Accordingly, this aspiration has been placed at the heart of the IDB strategy through a robust agenda of mainstreaming STI into the bank's operations. Our focus is to overcome the immediate challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, help rebuild stronger economies for our member countries, and seek to cultivate new sectors of investment and growth. In this crisis, we must significantly expand our ability to stimulate growth, progress, and opportunity which our member countries serve. Ladies and gentlemen, an integrated approach to STI is critical for global development, and that's why we have a department dedicated to STI. During a short period, the IDB has made great strides in promoting and utilizing STI to support our member countries, build more robust STI systems that facilitate innovation and support entrepreneurs and technology transfer. This year, Transform Fund completed its fourth call for innovation entirely dedicated to COVID-19 response. Cutting-edge projects from innovators, startups, SMEs, governments, NGOs, and academic entities in member and non-member countries were selected. They are offered initial funding to develop their innovative ideas into practical solutions and expand the commercial reach of innovative products and services in IDB member countries. The fund also supports capacity building efforts, especially in the least developed member countries, to strengthen their national STI ecosystems. Given the current global challenges and uncertainty, science and technology have been the cornerstone in the economic and financial outlook. Therefore, the power of innovation is relevant now more than ever for the stakeholders to provide necessary support in innovation. To support technological development and innovation, a vital component of the pandemic response, we provide innovative solutions that enhance our response to COVID-19. Together, we can help transform the lives of those who have borne the brunt of the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude by expressing my sincere appreciation through Your Excellency, Mr. Rahman, to the government of the Republic of Uzbekistan and the Transformers for their commitment and ownership of the process. The IDB is committed to continuing its support to leverage innovative solutions that address development challenges in its member countries. By working together and pooling our collective strategic and financial resources, I am confident that we can build a sustainable initiative to combat economic, social, and cultural difficulties. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I wish to thank His Excellency Dr. Al-Jasser for his inspiring and insightful keynote statement that sets the tone for the rest of the discussion during this forum. These key areas highlighted by His Excellency on leverage the power of science, technology, and innovations. Once again, thank you, Your Excellency. Now I would like to ask His Excellency Dr. Ibrahim Abdul Rahman, the Minister of Innovation and Development in the Republic of Uzbekistan, to take the floor. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. Dr. Muhammad Al-Jasser and Dr. Hayat Sindhi, Professor Muhammad Hassan. Thank you for your invitation and giving me this opportunity to speak today. I am very much excited. Why? Because I am seeing lots of my friends, and in this pandemic era, this is for the first time I am really having good contacts, and I especially was very happy, excited to see Professor Muhammad Hassan, who is the president of TWAS Academy, and I am proud myself to be one of the fellows from Uzbekistan to this academy. And I always feel warm. They support my colleagues, my fellow academicians in what we're doing in Uzbekistan, innovative development, scientific development, and so forth. Of course, today, world is suffering with pandemics. And as soon as outbreak of COVID-19 started, there was an increasing resources by governments and international organizations to the power of science, technology, and innovation to help solve the global development challenges. Countries distributed stimulus payments and authorized tax reliefs, and financial organizations became even more important in supporting the economy by allocating targeted financing, including Islamic Development Bank's Transform Fund that is providing essential resources for innovative ideas, researches and developments of the scientists and institutions, innovators, entrepreneurs, startups, small and medium-sized enterprises. The spread of deadly virus and lockdowns have changed many things permanently, and today the world is still in the grip of COVID-19. From these economic, social, and political losses, we have indeed learned a lesson which once again confirmed that our best practical hope is in science and people who practice it. Despite the uncertainty, the government and international institutions are trying to predict how the socio-economic situations will develop. According to world experts, Uzbekistan's prospects remain positive as reforms continue to shift the economy towards the country's development. As you see, today is our president's speech, and Professor Hassan highlighted really new Uzbekistan going toward new developments, new reforms, that all reforms based on science, technology, and innovations. This is our main target. And I have no doubts that each country and organization share the idea that science and innovations play a significant role in national development today, which is why we attach particular importance to the country's ongoing reform process with strong political will and commitment at the highest level. In pursuit of goal to develop national infrastructure, expand scientific potential, increase the efficiency of research activities and commercialization of the science, we have adopted the strategy of innovative development. And as highlighted by President of the Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Al-Jasser, that innovation strategies that we adopted, the main mission is human capital development. And in that regard, let me give a little bit brief information what was achieved so far. Main thing, the new system of the science management in turn has created a competitive environment, made the grants for thematic research projects increasingly available. Funding for the one project increased by 3.5 times compared to 2017, and the equivalent of almost $100 million have been allocated from the budget for the implementation of the programs and projects on scientific and innovative activities. Simply to say, we really take new mechanism, implemented new mechanism, and get rid of all your 5 years planning projects. We announce each month new calls for grants for researchers, and we took new mechanism funding fast-track projects, more funding, immediately funding, and more research grants. Also, in order to improve quality of life in the local areas of Uzbekistan, regional departments of the Ministry of Innovative Development were established in all 13 regions. And one of the main targets of the ministry that's assigned by our president, the people should feel innovation today, not tomorrow. So in order to achieve to this goal, we picked from each province one small region and we're transforming them as innovative regions. And in that context, lots of infrastructure development, for example, technological parks, innovation centers have been built so far, and we're building in each university new technopark for youth, young technoparks. So this is one of the achievements, and I invite all of our colleagues, if interested, we love if you participate in transferring new technologies for our innovative regions. And we'll be very happy to collaborate with you all. And one of the challenging for Uzbekistan when we started, it was a lack of startup ecosystem. So lately, with the help of international collaborations, also with the help of Islamic Development Bank, with the particular support of Dr. Hayat Sindhi, we started it. It was a 0. Now we have a 1. At least we made a 1. And right now we have funded more than 48 startup projects, about $4 million spent for this purpose. Additionally, the total amount of investments projects based on the technology transfer to the country has reached $3.3 million. So we, right now, in the start point of creating a startup ecosystem in the country, and also we very much like to work on transfer technology, as I told before. The reforms in these spheres allowed our country to enter the rating of Global Innovation Index. For your information, 5 years back, we even were not listed in the Global Innovation Index that each year announced. Right now, we ranked 93rd out of 131 countries, which is a significant increase from 122nd position in 2015. The positive results of Uzbekistan were noted in such pillars as institutions, human capital and research, infrastructure, knowledge, technology, and creative outputs. In this regard, we highly appreciate the efforts made by Islamic Development Bank on the collaboration in this direction, including in ensuring the economic recovery of the countries. Together, we initiated a joint project of strengthening inclusive science, technology, innovation, the results of which will be presented in the form of recommendations for implementation of the state policy in these fields. Moreover, thanks to our project in collaboration with UNESCO, the researchers now have better understanding of the publication processes and higher quality work in international scientific journals, including Scopus and Web of Science. The opportunities for mutual cooperation are far away from exhaustion, and I believe that our relations will develop dynamically further in the coming years. Dear Excellencies, participants of the event, we believe that by joint efforts we will be able to give new dynamics and impulse to further mutually beneficial cooperations. Let me once again welcome you and wish you fruitful work in the frame of this forum. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for these insights on the role of science, technology, innovation in the national development of Uzbekistan. We look forward to hearing more on our collaboration and success of our collaboration and partnership. And you have been a really great model as a decision maker for the study we did with UNESCO to mapping the research and methodology of innovation in the country to find the competitive advantage of how we can link innovation to economic stability. Thank you very much. And now we're going to take a short break for 5 minutes. And after that, we have a special treat for you. We have 6 innovators, great minds, supported by the Islamic Development Bank Transform Fund since 2018. They're going to showcase to you their invention and how they are really made a huge difference in their own communities and our national adjacent country. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, and thank you. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Please take your seats. We're going to start.
All we want to do is just to, if you let us, we will
Yes,
just
yes, yes.
Your hands also?
Yes, yes. Most important, my hand. خلاص.
Do you use that with the microphone?
Please take a seat. I'm going to start now. Calling the first presenter. I'm going to ask Karim. Karim, he invented an amazing portable X-ray detector, critical and crucial for any doctor to screen for any patient or any person who has a COVID-19. Also can tell us when he needs to go to admit to hospital and if he really responding to the drug. I will give Karim 5 minutes to present her amazing technology. Please, Karim, take the seat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cindy. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, my brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum, and good afternoon. I want to start by expressing my sincere gratitude to ISDB, especially Dr. Al-Jasser for arranging this event and Dr. Hayat Sindhi for the Transform Fund. I also want to really thank the entire ISDB team. They took care of us. They managed to get us here. They've obviously worked with us through the funds. It's really much appreciated, and it's really, really great to see how far everybody has come along. I also want to give my thanks to the representatives of the government of Uzbekistan for being very generous and kind hosts. Bolshoye spasiba. Most of you probably don't know this, but I actually lived in Central Asia for some time. I actually spent a year in Bishkek. And so I have at least some understanding of the challenges that are felt by mountain societies, especially the challenges related to health. All healthcare really is governed by metrics of quality, cost, and access. When technologies come out, sometimes, as one of our earlier speakers mentioned, they tend to focus perhaps just on one of those aspects. It works in some societies, but it will not work out here. Good technologies will at least meet two of the requirements, quality and cost, quality and access, but it's very rare to find a technology that can meet quality, cost, and access simultaneously. In the mountainous regions of Central Asia, you can imagine access is critical. For anybody who has lived in a remote mountain community that gets blockaded for 4 months in the winter because of snow will appreciate what I mean by access. So innovation is hard, and we're going to see what we can do with that and what the transformers have done. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about today is a portable dual-energy digital X-ray detector for triaging and longitudinal monitoring of COVID-19 infection. This is actually meant to address all three metrics of quality, cost, and access, and I'll come back to that. My name is Karim Salahuddin Karim. I'm the founder and chief technology officer for KA Imaging, a Canadian company. I originally grew up in Pakistan, and I'm also a professor at the University of Waterloo in Canada. Lung disease is the third greatest killer worldwide. 5 million preventable deaths annually. This includes pneumonia, lung cancer, tuberculosis, pneumoconiosis, COPD, and now COVID-19. With COVID-19, the key thing to remember is that it's an infectious disease. With infectious disease, you need portable diagnostics that can go to the patient. You don't have the luxury of having to take that patient into a CT room and then spending 3 hours scrubbing down the room to make sure that the room is properly disinfected. For those who are not familiar with X-ray, there are really two types of X-ray systems. You have fixed rooms on the left-hand side, and you have portable X-ray on the right-hand side. There's 500,000 X-ray systems installed globally. X-ray has been around for 120 years, and even today, there are 2 billion X-ray scans taken every year. It is the world's first and largest medical imaging modality. You have typically an X-ray source, then you have the X-ray detector. That's it. It's very simple. It allows you to, in both cases, you can take the imaging to the bedside to the patient. What we've done is we've created a new X-ray detector. We've created the world's first portable dual energy detector. And I'm not going to get technical with dual energy, but I will leave you with one set of numbers that you can remember: 5, 10, 20, 30. The technology enables addressing 5 critical diseases, and I'll show you which ones. It is 10 times less expensive than a CT, 20 times less radiation than a CT, and 30% more accurate than an X-ray. We've created a new sensor technology, a multi-layer sensor technology, that allows us, in a single X-ray exposure, to give you not just one X-ray image, but 3 X-ray images. The 3 images are shown on the right-hand side. You get a standard X-ray that everyone is familiar with. You also get a soft tissue image and a bone image. The soft tissue image allows you to see the soft tissue for pneumonia very clearly. The bone image allows you to see calcium, calcifications, rib fractures, scoliosis very clearly. The idea is that you take this detector, which is just nothing more than a plate, and you replace it with the existing plate in an existing X-ray room or an existing X-ray machine. That simple switch allows you to upgrade that machine to a dual energy X-ray that has accuracy approaching that of a CT, but the accessibility of an X-ray. I promised you some diseases. These are the diseases that we have tried this device on, that this type of technology has been used on in the past. Lung cancer, #1 killer worldwide. Pneumonia, which is the one that we've been using in the current study. 33% of patients are misdiagnosed with pneumonia, primarily because X-ray is really bad at finding consolidation. Ask any radiologist. It's a huge cost to the system, not just in hospitalization, because pneumonia patients take up ICU beds. They will mostly recover, but patients who may not recover, like cancer patients, cannot get ICU treatment. Dr. Rogala at the University of Toronto tried out this device, and even in the first 34 patients, was able to find 25% more cases than regular X-ray. He also said that he had considerably more confidence in the diagnosis that he made using dual energy. TB is the other big disease that affects our Muslim countries. 1.5 million people die in low and middle income countries, mostly in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Thank you. It's a significant disease burden. Dual energy is known to improve that as well. The ISDB Transform Fund is really vital for clinical adoption and regulatory clearance in Muslim countries. For example, one of our partners in Malaysia is using the detector at Pusravi Hospital for screening Hajj travelers, thereby saving them CT radiation and being able to make sure that they're healthy for Hajj. Partners in Pakistan and Indonesia and others are actually working on local regulatory approval. Who is KA Imaging? Myself, I've already introduced myself, my business partner Amal, and our senior management team. Most of them come from GE. They all worked at GE for at least 20 years or more. And our chief medical officer, who happens to be the former chair of radiology at the University of Maryland. The company was incorporated in 2015, is equity financed. We've got 80 global patents that protect all the technology that was developed at the University of Waterloo, and the devices are cleared by the FDA for the US, also in Canada, Australia, and Malaysia. More are on the way. I'll close with a thank you now.
Karim, I'm so proud. It's really amazing what I heard. I'm sorry, we have to cut it short, but because we want to have more time for questions, but it's amazing. Can you see that? We're so proud of, our transformers and the transforming the world, actually. My second, amazing also transformer, Silvana. Silvana, she's the founder of the CEO of Brava Health in Bangladesh, and she has brick and click healthcare platform that combine digital tools with meaningful doctor-patient relationships. I love that type of terminology. And she always empowering also women and the whole quality diagnostic in the whole Bangladesh. I'm happy to see you here face to face, and you have 5 minutes. Please let us know about who you are and your innovation. Take the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Hyatt, and it's really an honor to be here. I feel really privileged to be representing my team in Bangladesh in front of all of you. We're really excited. So I don't know how to get do I put the presentation up? Oh, great. So Brava is Bangladesh's fastest growing consumer healthcare brand. I'm not sure how much all of you know about the country of Bangladesh. It's a country of 170 million people, and also happens to be one of the fastest growing economies in the world, growing at 8%, 7 to 8% consistently pre-COVID. Even in 2020, grew 4% against the backdrop of the global recession. And the health sector is growing even faster than the economy, at 11% CAGR over the last 15 years. Per capita health spending is expected to 5x in the next 20 years. And what we're seeing is that there's tremendous excess demand in the market for high quality healthcare services. There's a huge gap in terms of the demand and the supply. The average amount of time doctors are spending with patients is 48 seconds. There's only one internationally accredited lab in the country, and there are 10 to 15% of drugs in the market that are counterfeit. So we have a big need to fill, and there are a lot of people who are approaching the problem of healthcare from many different angles. We heard about a really interesting technology solution, and there are many, many different approaches that we can and should all take. Brava has integrated technology and infrastructure meaningfully to own the entire outpatient healthcare experience. And it was always really critical to me that this intervention was underpinned by quality infrastructure, because what we see across low and middle income countries is that more people are dying due to lack of access to quality healthcare than lack of access alone. So, what we're seeing globally is that care is shifting from hospitals and into clinics and into homes. But unfortunately, across emerging markets, what we're still seeing is largely hospital first care. People are going directly to hospitals anytime anything goes wrong. So what we're trying to do with our brick and click model is create an integrated outpatient solution that is every patient's first call. You can see on the screen here, on the left side of the screen, you can see a photograph of our flagship hub clinic, which is a 10-story building in downtown Dhaka, Bangladesh's capital, as well as our app, which is the first patient app in the country. Our care consists of consultations with family doctors, as well as advanced specialties. We do outpatient procedures. We have a lab that's set up according to international standards of the College of American Pathology, fully integrated lab, full range of imaging services, as well as in-house pharmacy that sources directly from manufacturers to eliminate the risk of counterfeit drugs. Everything is underpinned by technology. We've brought Bangladesh's first fully integrated hospital information system, which features the first patient app in the country that I mentioned. Includes medical records, appointment bookings, as well as digital products, which mostly we rolled out during COVID, actually, including telemedicine, e-pharmacy, and virtual primary care. We started serving patients we had our ribbon cutting of our 4-year anniversary, actually, just last week, but we officially launched in February of 2018, so we've been serving patients for nearly 4 years now. The COVID pandemic really accelerated our growth. We've now served more than 225,000 patients in Bangladesh, growing an average of 20% month on month. And COVID really accelerated that growth and gave us an opportunity to serve the community during this massive public health crisis that we're all living through. In addition, it allowed us to accelerate and prepone the product launch of digital products that I mentioned, such as telemedicine, e-pharmacy, as well as virtual primary care. We built a tool for remote management of COVID. And it's our belief that models like ours that combine technology and infrastructure are not only going to continue to play a pivotal role in actually addressing the pandemic as it persists, as we see vaccine inequity. We're going to continue to see low and middle income countries dealing with the pandemic. But these types of models will also help us to prevent future public health crises. And so, we're really grateful to the Transform Fund for its investment, which is basically allowing us to, for its investment, which is basically allowing us to accelerate the growth of our model. We'd like to build out our hub and spoke model in Dhaka, which is the capital, in the coming years, as well as accelerate the launch of a patient super app, which would be a one-stop shop for all of your healthcare needs in an outpatient setting. We've started our journey in Bangladesh, the 8th most populous country in the world, but we believe our model is scalable across emerging markets, where, as this audience knows all too well, more than 85% of the world lives. Demand for healthcare services is growing in these markets, and what we've seen from an impact perspective, McKinsey estimates that for every dollar that's invested in healthcare infrastructure, you get more than a 4x return. So the financial and impact opportunity is really substantial. We're so thrilled to be here, Dr. Sindhi, and really excited to partner with the Islamic Development Bank in facing these challenges.
Is she amazing? Yes. Now I'm going to call for the third transformers, Dr. Sheikh Lokodar. He's a partner with Dr. Amadou Sal, who is the recipient of the Transform Fund. Dr. Sheikh and he's a business partner with Dr. Sal. They created an amazing consortia contra-virus rapid test called CROWN. So we're going to hear all about CROWN. Please take the floor and tell us all about your innovation.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. So I'm happy to be here, to have the opportunity to present to you the implementation of digital tools for COVID-19 data collection, management, analysis, and reporting process in Senegal. And some of the tools, the development of some of them is supported by the Transform Fund that I am thanks a lot for that support. And it is about enabling an end-to-end rapid diagnosis test for COVID-19 reading and interpretation on the field. And it is done through a consortium, CROWN, that we build in Senegal with other partners. So to introduce myself, so I'm a researcher, a data scientist, working in Institut Pasteur of Senegal, which is a Senegalese non-profit foundation with main activities on research, education, training, medical expertise, and production of a yellow fever vaccine. So the CEO, Dr. Amadou Sall, planned to be here, but was not able to make it last minute. So myself, I'm from mathematics background and specialize in statistical genetics, and I'm very interested in statistical approaches for data exploitation and reporting. I'm working with some African network like H3 Africa, where I have the node in Dakar, and also with WHO and health systems and policies, and also involved in teaching in Senegalese universities. So we have a lot of challenge around data, and especially on health data. For example, we have challenge on real-time access to data during health emergencies, which is very crucial. It's not good to have the data like many days after. The problem also is that we don't have enough laboratory. The big main laboratory in Senegal is the Institut Pasteur based in Dakar, and we need for representativeness of the data to have accessibility and availability of diagnostic to ensure early laboratory confirmation of suspected cases. But even if we have access to the data, another problem is the quality of the data. Because of filling physical form by hand, we have a lot of sparsity and inconsistency in the data. We need also to coordinate stakeholders, people from the Ministry of Health, people in the lab, investigators. We have to coordinate them to share the data, which is a very, very big issue. All the thing around data sharing is very, very, very difficult. Also, we have the issue of internet coverage to bring data from the field to the central database. We need to build one health information system to connect all the data, and also we need to rapidly analyze and report. So it's a lot of challenge. But hopefully we have been able to develop a digital platform that we named Teranga, and it connects Senegalese stakeholder like investigator teams, laboratory, the treatment centers, the Ministry of Health, and the airport for travelers. And with some tablets that we put around the country, we have increased the coverage of data collection and also introduced automatization in the collection and cleaning. And the Transform firm helped us to bring an additional and complementary module at this system, which is an end-to-end rapid diagnostic test reader that is being developed. And it will enable the diagnostic from the field and automatic reading of the results of the test and automatic interpretation. So this is how is the configuration of the system that I already said, so I can skip that. It was like it linked many stakeholders here, and we are far now in the phase of the development. And this is also already developed this type of dashboard that can allow people to see the epidemic curve, how the things are spread in the space, and also the transmission cluster where we can represent people and who infected who. And this is crucial information that decision makers need to be based on and on real time also. Thanks a lot for listening.
It's real revolution, huh? Great. Can't wait for the questions. And during the pandemic, several of our transformers who won Transform Fund in different area, education, really took the initiative to transform or twist a little bit their own invention towards health. And I have a great example here, Abdullah. Abdullah is the founder of EduCast, a telehealth network in Pakistan, connects out of practice female doctors via their ICT platform. Abdullah, please take the floor. 5 minutes, please.
Respected Dr. Hayat, respected guest, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. As Dr. Hayat said, my name is Abdullah Bhatt. I come from Pakistan. My company is EduCast. First of all, let me thank ISDB, and especially Transform Fund, for supporting us, supporting the project. I come here on behalf of our government and 400,000 patients who were treated in Pakistan and in the Middle East using the same funded platform during COVID pandemic. On behalf of them, we thank ISDB and Transform Fund, especially the team of Transform Fund. Thank you very much. Okay, now, before starting, I tell you a small story. I'll take not more than 5 minutes. In mid of 2018, we heard a sad news that a woman in city of Karachi gave birth outside hospital on the street. And when we investigated, we found there are lots and lots of cases going on like that. Kids are dying. We found out that 15,000 women are dying every year from pregnancy-related diseases. 22,000 infants are dying every month because of lack of information. The reason was there were no female doctors. female doctors were leaving. 80% of female doctors, after getting married, were not joining the workforce. So we got an innovative idea of bringing these female doctors back. We built up a platform, a pilot platform, brought a couple of hundred doctors. Then we approached ISDB, Transform Fund. This supported us, and here we are. Now we present our project. Okay. What should I do? Okay. The role of Transform Fund support platform EDUCAST for maternal and infant mortality and handling COVID-19 patient. As Dr. Hayat said, we use the same Transform Fund and the platform and the doctors during COVID pandemic, and which you will see in our coming slides. This project has been only possible due to Transform Fund support, and now we are bringing, beside that, in the last end slide, we will bring a project for ISDB Transform Fund, a project from WHO's declaration of 2020 to 2030 as Decade of Aging. Okay, what was our funding challenge? Pakistan estimated 30,000 women die every year. Infant mortality, 22,000 deaths per month. Lack of medical advisory, non-availability of female doctors. 25,000 doctors have already left the profession. So what we did, we wanted to create an impact, started a pilot, went to Transform Fund. Now, today, thanks to Transform Fund, we have got 1,000 lady doctors in 27 countries, Pakistan's largest global female doctors network. Thank you very much, Transform Fund. COVID, our response. While we were working with Transform Fund, suddenly COVID hit Pakistan. Of course, everywhere. In Pakistan, we found out the problem which is coming, that small ailments, people are rushing towards hospitals, and hospitals were getting choked. So our government approached us. We informed them that, yes, we have the platform, we can support. So we supported the health ministry, 450 doctors. We supported our 450 doctors from 16 countries for the COVID operation. And successfully, we managed, till date, 400,000 patients of COVID. Thank you very much, ISD Fund, Transform Fund, for supporting us. Stanford University became our partner for training our doctors. We also took the Transform Fund project into Middle East by providing COVID care support, home isolation monitoring to the Pakistani working communities in Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and Oman, and other small other states. So as we said, achievements in 12 months, EDUCAST becomes cash positive. Its revenue have reached now $200,000 per year. Thank you very much, Transform Fund. Now, where we are moving, while doing this COVID, we also looked at other regions in Islamic countries like Yemen, Palestine. We moved into Yemen. And in Yemeni women are today getting live video consultation, skill training. Internet limitations we were facing in Yemen, war zones. We developed CDMA, internet aggregation. In Palestine, we are providing maternal child and teleorthopedic. Same Transform Fund project. And now we are moving into Afghanistan and Syria. This is today EDUCAST in the Islamic world. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Really amazing. And it's like, make me feel a bit emotional, but it's amazing how technology now reaching 400,000 people. Amazing. Now I have, please make sure the time, because I have another, we have to wrap up. We have our hero from Uzbekistan. She's a recipient of many, many awards from ISDB in all different stages of her career. She's an amazing scientist. She's a Transformers, one of the Transformers, and also she's a recipient of many scholarship programs, roadshow winners. And she developed a bacteria-based treatment against ulcer stomach. I will hear all about it. Please take the floor in 5 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I want to say thanks to ICB, Transform Fund members, to Engage team for providing me this honorary opportunity to present our project. Helicobacter pylori is one of the most common spreaded pathogens, not only in Uzbekistan, but in the world. Treatment of this infection is complicated by spreading antibiotic-resistant strains. Antibiotic resistance leads to decreasing of treatment rate of infectious disease, and H. pylori included by World Health Organization into list of pathogens which is urgently needed to the antibiotics to treat these antibiotics. Alternatives need to be developed to treat this pathogen. And therefore, the new strategy for treatment needs to be developed. I am working at the Institute of Microbiology, and the research area of our team is developing probiotic preparations to give an alternative treatment to infectious disease. So in our research, allowed us to discover Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which release antimicrobial substances which can effectively kill Helicobacter pylori. At this time point, we needed to perform complicated research to prepare the preparation for human on the base of this bacteria. And it was my first application to Islamic Development Bank, and thanks to Merit Scholarship Program, I performed this research at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. As a result, a new probiotic preparation, lactopropolis, was created. And we need to introduce it to, it is highly effective against Helicobacter pylori. Do you know why so many scientific research aren't implemented into practice? One of the biggest challenges is the absence of suitable manufacture site. And a Transform Fund support made a great support for us to create this facility for production of our preparation lactopropolis. Now we got the possibility to produce our preparation, and now we have an approval from Health Ministry for production of the preparation, and this facility works not only for healthcare, but to achieve other sustainable development goals. Our facility created new workplaces. 6 specialists in the field have been employed in our small innovative enterprise. We have not only 1, but 3 innovative products which has been introduced to production thanks to this enterprise. And our facility also works as an educational platform. 26 university students have already been prepared for work into biotechnology industry. As any innovative company, we are planning to grow. And our plans is to make an impact in healthcare. This facility, the production of this facility will give a possibility to fight antibiotic-resistant disease and improve human health. It has a social impact. We are planning to grow, and we are planning to create up to 20 new workplaces for unemployed persons of Uzbekistan population. It will have a scientific impact. We are planning to develop R&D platform based on this facility, and it will have an educational impact. The platform for students to educate them in the field of biotechnology and to prepare them for the biotechnology industry. All of this work was completed on the many steps due to ISDB support. And once again, I want to express my gratitude for this. Thank you.
I'm so happy to hear that the Ministry of Health is supporting. I think maybe Professor Hassan was so proud because we were the discussion when we're selecting any project, how much that can be integrated in the health system. So I'm so pleased to hear, finally the Ministry of Health really taking, the responsibility with you. The last but the least, but please stick to the 5 minutes because we have to also ask Professor Hassan and Sandra to join us. Aziz, you going to make a revolution in your country. He proposing Taj Rabto Artificial Intelligence Research Center, an institution that would build local research capability in artificial intelligence and computer science in Tajikistan. I think Sandra will be also interested here. Please take the floor.
Dr. Cindy, thank you very much. It's an absolute privilege to be here, and I want to thank everybody in attendance for taking your time today. I want to begin with a very brief story. 3 years ago, around this time in the summer, it was a very hot day in a small city of Cambridge, right outside of Boston, which is where Harvard University is located. And I was sitting in the Harvard iLab. I had just begun my graduate studies that year, and it was my nth day of working on the Transform Fund application. That summer, I dedicated literally 3 months into putting together an application for a fund that ended up changing not only my life, but the lives of people whose stories I will share with you today. Tajrapt AI, when we launched in November 2019, thanks to the Transform Fund support, we were the first artificial intelligence lab in Central Asia. Over the past 20 months or so, we have become finalists of Google's AI Impact Challenge, top 30 among 3,000 competitors. We recently became a research partner of Microsoft on COVID-19 research, and our mission has been simple: to educate people and build products on artificial intelligence to achieve leapfrog development in Tajikistan. We see the leapfrog in our country, the economic development and the fuel that it needs as the ultimate goal, not just our company's success or our people's success. It's much larger than the work that we do. So what has happened? What kind of products have we built? TaiScore, a machine learning-based credit scoring software that we've built, has now been deployed in Tajikistan. We built it on a database of over 735,000 microloans worth $415 million that we collected with 5 banking partners. And literally in a matter of a few months, when the pandemic hit, we were able to deploy a credit scoring software based on machine learning that now has issued over $1 million in microloans. In half a year, what results has that deployment showed? First, we've seen a 3x decrease in operational costs on servicing microloans. That is fundamental because the National Bank of Tajikistan, the regulator that works on this sphere, has remarked that operational costs are one of the major contributors to high interest rates. So by employing artificial intelligence and issuing loans, we have the potential to reduce interest rates for consumers in the long term. Second, we've achieved 99.3% accuracy in predicting consumer credit worthiness. That shows the substantial advantage of AI over traditional linear models in credit scoring. Third, we've seen a 49% reduction in rate of non-performing loans when comparing deployment of our product versus traditional scoring of banks. Fourth, we've seen that 90% of clients whose microloan applications have been approved by our software have been first first-time clients. And that is extremely important for Central Asia. In Tajikistan, 70% of the population is under 30. Those people are just joining the financial system. And before artificial intelligence was deployed, those people did not have access to consumer loans because they didn't have a credit history. Now, through the power of alternative data and machine learning, our software has enabled thousands of people all across Tajikistan to gain access to microloans and build their credit history. And now we've signed contracts to issue $15 million in microloans across 17 urban and rural areas of Tajikistan over the next year. As you see, we're scaling and we're scaling fast. One thing that was very important for us from the beginning was building the talent that's required to transform Tajikistan into a regional AI hub. What did we do? We built an AI academy that is now educating the first generation of machine learning engineers in Tajikistan. It's the first such academy in the region, thanks to the support of the Transform Fund. We just graduated our first cohort of 150 students from 3 countries. So students from Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan are joining our classes online. We have created 50 jobs in machine learning and data science through partnerships with 11 leading telecom and finance companies in Tajikistan. And our goal before the end of this year is to launch a global outsourcing team that will truly position Tajikistan as a regional hub for artificial intelligence. And now you've seen that we've built products, we've educated people, but we've got to scale our work. We realize that a private NGO, a private lab, a private company cannot achieve its mission of fueling leapfrog development without government support. So what did we do? With support from the Ministry of Industry and New Technologies of Tajikistan, we launched an AI council, which I'm privileged to head as its chairman. And we are the first low-income nation globally with a GDP per capita of $1,000 or less to draft its national AI strategy. We're planning to create 10 AI faculties in universities across Tajikistan with the ministry's help. And our dream is as simple as it goes: 1% of GDP to be derived from artificial intelligence. And this is our Transform Leapfrog. This is what Dr. Hayat Sindhi, the incredible team of Transform Fund, has helped us achieve. When we launched in November 2019, we received a $150,000 grant for capacity building. We were an NGO, we were a lab. Today, we're launching a company that just received its first investment, literally a few days ago, with a valuation of $6 million. And that is the leapfrog that we've seen a company achieve. Thank you. And our hope is that in the future, we're going to turn that leapfrog from a company to a country. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you, Aziz. I would ask kindly Dr. Professor Hassan and Sandra, please, if you can join us on the stage. Ten minutes for questions, and hopefully we can go through around it quickly. I just start with you, Aziz, because I've just seen your academy. So you're creating critical mass of artificial intelligence developers, I can see. So what would that mean for the future of Tajikistan? Are you going to take over the world by artificial intelligence developers? Hopefully, yes.
Dr. Sindhi, I think with your support and the support of the Transform Fund, there's nothing impossible. But in regards to our plans, we see that the government of Tajikistan has been instrumental.
War is going on. We are doing live consultation on mental health, live consultation with specialists, and live online education through our doctors in those areas. And similar goes to Palestine, and now we are moving, same technology we are moving and removing all those challenges of connectivity in Afghanistan also.
Thank you. Karim, we all hear about PCR tests for COVID, but rarely we hear about X-ray to test for COVID. So you have 1 minute. Tell us what the difference, which one should go for the future. Do you think X-ray will take over from PCR?
Okay, so I think the short answer, thank you, Dr. Sindhi. The short answer is no, X-ray will not take over. But here's the problem. With the PCR test, as we've seen even here, it can take 6 to 12 hours to get an answer. I'm not talking about the antigen tests, I'm talking about the true PCRs. With an X-ray, it's a very good screening tool. So in a situation where you don't want to wait 6 hours, or alternately, you don't want to spend $5 to $10 per consumable. It's a very fast, effective means of doing a screening of a large population. The other piece is with X-ray, even if you have a patient in the ICU, say the patient has COVID and they have to be moved into the ICU, how do you make the decision that this patient needs to be in ICU, or should they be in a regular ward, or should we just send them home? The only way to do that is to look at the quality of the patient's lungs. A PCR tells you if you have COVID or not, but it doesn't give you any information on what the health of the patient is.
Thank you. Silvana, one of your slides you mentioned you would like, this is not only for Bangladesh, the technology you want to expand. So tell us about your, in a few minutes or 1 minute, you plan, how you're going to work with different stakeholders, and if you want to expand different country, what is your plan to go forward, and how are you going to take it from Bangladesh, for example, let's say Pakistan, or bring it to Senegal, or?
Well, inshallah, with ISDB support, we can take it everywhere. For the near term, we're definitely very focused on Bangladesh. As I mentioned, it's a country of 170 million people, and we'd really like to prove out the model in Bangladesh. But I think in terms of some of the technology pieces that we're working on, in particular things like virtual primary care, I mentioned a tool that we developed that's shown initial results to reduce hospitalization rates for COVID patients. That has future applications to chronic disease, and I think those types of interventions can easily be scaled to other markets. And we're really excited to get started on that in advance of investing in infrastructure in other markets.
I love all of your ambitions. And Dr. Sheikh, you've done an amazing revolution here from, as you say, from door to door, and you work with all challenges. So what is in your view to build more scientific infrastructure in the country, because you did that for Senegal, and I know Dr. Ramado and Sal, and what is the promising of that. So what do you think will be the major challenges, and how to build that type of, what is your advice to stakeholders, if you have a leader and you have an investor, to build that scientific infrastructure as you did now? I know you have funding and you are seeking fund, but what will be the most challenge, and how would you advise to strengthen that type of building of capacity, especially we're hearing an even distribution of the COVID vaccination?
Yeah, thank you. So the big challenge in general is the connectivity in Senegal, in a lot of area out of big cities like Dakar and the head of the regions. So you have connectivity and access to the information, and the advice is to develop more, to invest more in that area, and also to see how people can develop some technology that can work without internet, and then once you move to a place where you have like good connection, you can upload the data, and this kind of thing is being developed in many things that we are doing. Vaccination also is following. The thing is to go outside Dakar and to make a system for which all the data about vaccination and about diagnostic can be like collected and put together into the central system at the Ministry of Health. So this is the main challenge that we have in working with information related to COVID-19 in Senegal.
Yeah, critical. Dr. Shaklo, it's really amazing your career, because a lot of academics, I don't know if Professor Hassan and Sandra can, if they want to ask you as well, when they have established their career, they love to do their research and they teach academia. But very rare of them, they become entrepreneurs. For your case, you become entrepreneur after you establish your career and you have your PhD, you have your lab. And it's amazing because of your entrepreneurial skills, and now you develop this new treatment. Now Ministry of Health taking it far. So what is your advice for the rest of the academia if they wanted to be entrepreneur? Because I know sometimes a risky road is a lonely road, is a unknown road. But what is your advice as you've been through this journey?
As I told you, many students come to our lab to learn about how how to deal with bacteria. And what we are doing as entrepreneurs, we teach the students to, we are prepare them for biotechnology industry. We gave them the skills to work with bacteria in the future in big scale, not only in the lab, in the tubes, but to transform these tube research into the real product, into the final product. This is our mission for education.
Exactly. So that's why we have a Transform Academy, because you need to teach them about the skills, how, for entrepreneur, about all the skills they need to equip themselves, because they could fail, they could succeed, but they need to have that type of environment and backup and understanding about entrepreneurship skills. And now I come to you, Sandra, here. You hear from our transformers, and most of them tech savvy. And now there is the growing emerging market, blockchain, fintech, artificial intelligence. But a lot of people say to me when they come, they want to choose this career. How that relate to SDG? So the people, they want to know, because the practicality of SDG is sometimes a missing link. We know about we need to do good for our planet, we need to have equivalent healthcare for everybody, we need to have education for everybody. But how techie and blockchain can relate to SDG in practical a point of view?
Thank you for that question. There is a big gap at the moment and a lot of discussion around, we have SDGs, we have lots of entrepreneurs and companies working on solutions, but yet how do you know if you are actually successful? How do you know if you are truly meeting SDG goals? And some of the issues are around metrics. What are the common metrics that we are going to agree to as a global community of success? What does success actually mean for Senegal, Bangladesh, wherever? And I think right now we do not have the kind of global metric agreements on name your SDG, right? And I think one of the things that we do need to work out and establish are frameworks for metrics for success, and then benchmark those to companies. But then most importantly, I think another big gap right now is there are so many different projects and initiatives around the world, and they need to start getting connected to scale. And I think we've heard the word scaling a couple times here. How do we truly push that scaling forward? How do you guys really truly get to the place where you have success in Pakistan, you have success in various pockets in Tajikistan, but how does it become a Central Asian success or a much bigger regional success? And I think these are the places where other groups need to come in to help support that and connect that. And we will do our part, Dr. Hayat Sindhi, as best we can, but ISDB is doing a tremendous amount of that support financially, but also connecting the dots that we need. So we're working on the metrics as well, but we need much more bigger NGO as supranational support to also come to metric agreement.
A very important question to you, Sandra, and I'll come back to you, Professor Hassan. Will you invest in our transformers? You don't have to mention any name, but will you invest in our transformers?
I have to tell you, I've been blown away by some of these projects and initiatives. I am definitely interested in a few of them for sure.
Great. So here we go. We now another layer of support. Professor Hassan, you've been with us since we launch Transform Fund 2018. And you've been through every time, you've been one of the key a member of the scientific board, and we have this, as you mentioned, we have first year we had 4,300 interests, second year we have about 5,000, last year we have for one single call 4,700, this year we have over 6,000. And from your point of view as a multilateral institution, and you are also the chairman of Technology Bank, how do you see the progress has happened in the Islamic Development Bank with this type of direction? In terms of how do you see that improve in terms of the the quality in terms of that. As we see here, amazing transformers, really the future of their own country. So how do you see that now, the fruit of that, even though we are in a third year or fourth year, but what do you expect will be happen and what we can improve, and how would your advice to another multilateral banks?
Thank you. Well, let me first say what has really been accomplished so far. And you're really talking about 3 years, 3 rounds. And what we have seen, I mean, this is not the first time I hear innovators benefiting from this program. But there is tremendous success there. Absolutely no doubt about that. And I think there are 2 things that are really needed. First, we have to see how you can really scale up your operation. And that, I think you mentioned that earlier, Dr. Hayat, that will require partners from the private sector and from the government. And some of the innovators have done that. And I think we really need to address this issue and scale it up. The second, I think we really have to ensure that whatever success we have made so far have to be somehow transmitted as knowledge to the policymakers, and especially those who sit in the governing board of the Islamic Development Bank, because this is where the money comes from. They have to be convinced. And I think, Dr. Hayat, you really have a lot of success stories. They have to be compiled, and they have to be presented in a package to see this type of support, which is really not tremendous in terms of funds coming from an intergovernmental bank. How this small amount of investment has really been successful in generating so much support, so much problems being solved, and so much interest from various stakeholders. So this is, in my view, what we should do in the near future. And as I said earlier, if we really want to think of the other platforms that we have not touched upon so far, I think the area of food systems is very important. And I'm absolutely sure, Dr. Hayat, it will be very attractive to the governing board of the Islamic Development Bank. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hassan. I just want to mention to you, we have the pleased that we have the approval of management to start investment arm within the Transform. And to the Transform will put capital and track private sector, because we need to have entity that specialize, invest in innovation and small, medium price, which is completely different from the other, like business with the bank, with building loan is called multi-million, this is different. So now we have this, the okay to go ahead and establish that, and will be exactly what you mentioned, to provide that type of also investment and private sector type of culture to scaling up innovation. So they get the seed money, but also we need to take it further, and how we can attract other partners. Thank you very much. I think the time we come close, and I would like to ask all of us to take a nice picture. And I am sure Sandra and Professor Hassan will be here until the 4th. And if you want to have questions, I know you want to ask them questions, they are here. But I have to, we need to close. And I wanted to have a picture of all of you, and also want to ask the manager, Dr. Muhammad and Dr. Mustafa, and the Transform Fund lead, Uthman and Sulaiman, all these people, and Nofel, where is Nofel? Who's been really, this is the real soldiers, been working. Please come up the stage, let's take a family picture. And Ali Bek, please come in. Ali Bek, we launched in Kazakhstan the first ever idea when we said Transform Fund. Ali Bek and the government was the first one to announce that in their own science, technology, innovation conference in Kazakhstan in 2017 to launch the idea of Transform Fund. So Ali Bek was a great supporter. He was an amazing support, and we had the first road show ever in Kazakhstan. So I would love to introduce Ali Bek. He's the alternative governor of Islamic Development Bank.
Thank you so
Please.
much. Come closer.
Please have a picture.
But I think it's safe to say he can stand in the back. You're in the back. You can. What is it?
Either we do it virtually or physically, but the governor here, invited us to Uzbekistan as a partnership this year. Okay. We're in the Senegal here. Yeah. Announcement of partnership possibly this year, inshallah. Yes. So if you can see around, please make sure that when you leave, organize all for us dinner or lunch and see the flights, and we will be there so we can have our private time. So you can tomorrow there is dinner. Because I will leave you now because I have to run to another show. Take care. I'll see you later.
Well done. Dr. Sani, I've seen
you.
Congratulations, huh? This really went well.
Yeah, yes, I really